Visual Studio Code just came out with the November 2023 release, and in it is one of the most sought after features, and it's taken 7 years for it to finally land a version of it. It is floating editor windows. That's right, folks. You can now drag and drop editors onto your desktop from Visual Studio Code within the same project. You can have all kinds of different tabs, whether it's a project file, like a text file, JavaScript file, whatever your project source files are, search tabs opened up in a separate window, and your terminal. Now, let's get into the history and background behind how this came to be, and how do I know that it's been about a little over 7 years to get to this point? Well, there's an issue up on Visual Studio Code that is now closed that was opened by Brakar. Brakar, by the way, congratulations on this finally getting into Visual Studio Code. How are you, Brakar? Where are you these days? Are you still using Visual Studio Code? I wonder. If you know Brakar out there, let's get in contact with them. How do they feel? I would love to interview Brakar to understand how they feel after having one of the most upvoted 2,885 likes, somehow 40 dislikes. I don't know why. If you're one of those people, can you explain yourself, please? But of the people that, like, it's the most one of the most upvoted issues on GitHub. Brakar had that badge of honor up on GitHub, and I don't know that Brakar even knows about it. Let's dive into this really quick. If I search for Brakar, there's only 2 instances of that name on this page. Brakar opened this issue, and then the original issue details. Nowhere in the lengthy thread on this issue does Brakar chime in ever again. I am so curious what happened with Brakar. Anyway, moving on. So this was originally opened in August 2016. Now, the editor itself has been around, at least publicly available and downloadable, since 2015 sometime. We are now in 2023. And Brakar opened this in August of 2016. So this is something that's been 7 years in the making, and I'm really curious to read through the issue to see some of the folks that are on the VS Code team, some of their details that they might share. So we're kind of doing a raw reaction to this new feature. We're going through here. It's lots of people that are just adding support in the comments. Then folks asking, how is it going to work? That type of thing. Keep in mind, we're on version 1.85. This was back in 1.11, 111. What else do we have here? So we have other folks that are talking and like justifying different use cases around why having these floating editors would be beneficial to them. The main one being if you have multiple monitors and you want to be able to utilize them to their maximum potential. So I'd say that undocking tabs is a must-have rather than an eventually type of task. Would love to have it implemented. So as you can see, people have been chiming in to Brakar's issue. We've had some folks from the VS Code team that's talked about it, and it's been on their radar since the time, or shortly after the time of opening it, because it was April 2016, and then more upvotes probably helped bubble it up to the team's attention. This folks right here is what's asking Benjamin about what's the technical limitation, because there's the PR from a community is not going to be something that would be possible, at least at the time of that, because of technical limitations was some of the reasoning behind this. By the way, who are these people that are thumbing down these things? Hyan and somebody else. Hyan again. Hyan, you were having a bad week. I hope you're feeling better. I don't know why you're thumbing. I don't know what drives people to thumb down these things. I don't know how it relates to them, or if they're just in a bad mood. I hope that's not the case. Anyway, moving on. It depends. If I could open a lightweight window that shares the same JavaScript context and build some UI in it, that would certainly help. Otherwise, we would end up opening a heavy browser window with own context that contains only the UI pieces we want to show, which seems like the wrong direction. So lots of architecting and thinking about solutions around the architecture of how that could work given the technical stack that Visual Studio Code is built upon. Want to chime in? So someone that's using Visual Studio moving over to VS Code and wants that same functionality that Visual Studio offers with this floating window capability. We'll have to agree with the comments above. I want to be able to open files into a new window. I'm using a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Viewer plugin for ASCII docs. Separate windows and different monitors is a basic requirement. Really nice to tear off tabs. That always catches me up when there's typos in there. My brain doesn't like that. To show the file/tab in a separate window. A nice little video recording or screen. No, that's a video. That's a video. Again, thumbs down. Why? I want to know why. Why are we thumbsing this down? People don't want floating window. Is that why? And they're just coming to this issue to downvote it? No, my issue. Maybe they have an issue open that they wanted to be prioritized over this one, like a feature request. And so they're going to all the other ones and downvoting them. I'm trying to move off JetBeans. I think they meant JetBrains, right? And this isn't an optional or nice to have feature. Okay. Just a bullet point. It's not even edited. It's not even edited. Like some of these you'll see people went back and like edited, right? This isn't even edited. It's just a bullet point. Disler, it's like a mystery now. Is this like a fill in the blank situation where we can ad lib what Disler was feeling in this moment? I understand the thumbs down on this one because it doesn't really add some context, but I feel like this might have just been like a fat finger situation, accidentally typed send on that one. Looking for this feature. Thank you. Very good. But thumbs down. Samulet. Why? Why, buddy? You can do the following. Look, people are even offering workarounds for the time being. That's very kind of the community to do that. Love that. Speaking of Love Ducky says, adding my request for this feature as well. Nice to see others wanting the same. I love this IDE. Otherwise, all the best. See, that's kind. That's very nice. Highly needed functionality. Thanks. +1. That's great. 372 hidden items. Do we dive deeper into that now? Maybe not. We're skipping a year. We're going to skip to 2018 now. 2018. My bad. I thought you said VS Code. Sorry. Back on. Oh, that must be part of the conversation in here. Okay. We'll let that go. Can't create new window by dragging a tab out of it. Some new issues popping up referencing this one. Hey, just my 2 cents. Here's the shortcut I would use for this. It's bound to open active file in new window. So it's a great workaround. Nice. That's pretty good 2 cents. That's worth 2 cents right there. I like it. However, 13 people don't like it. Just so you know. Just so you know. Oh, here we go. Like others have said, opening a new window isn't what we're asking for or wanting. Very passionate. We're looking for the ability to pop out a window and move it where we want. Basically like Premiere Pro does. There's so many other apps that people like to reference but are not built with the same technology. I think they miss that context, but they mean it in good faith. Totally agree with you. I was just trying to help. See, the community is just nice. There are nice developers out there, and then there's people that thumbs down. I want to voice my opinion on this. I think about great deal of developers have more than one monitor. Yeah, it would be a big win. Yes, I agree. Until VS Code, oh man, somebody's drawing a line in the sand. Until you have multi-display support, I do not see moving to this editor as my default. That's fair. That's fair. Xcode allows it. How? When I try to open this and somebody's like, no, now we're going into a deep conversation on Xcode and how it does multi-window floating windows. Coming in and stating my own experience, I've successfully used VS Code in the past to compile and debug a game engine project I contribute to. Nice. That's cool. Very cool. But since I can't do detached windows with VS Code, I'm unfortunately sticking to Clion? C-Line, which is slowly, but let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. C-Line, I imagine, because probably in C, right? It's game engine, which is slowly but surely taking on Visual Studio at large. Ooh, 3 thumbs down. You can do this in Xcode by either tearing a tab off or using File New Window. Oh, so Xcode's kind of taking a similar approach or stand at that point in time. 2 years since it was requested. Buddy, you have no idea. You're going to have to wait another 5 years, okay? Any estimates? Silence. Same day. This is an open source software. You can help and contribute your skills to VS Code. Meanwhile, up there it said, like, this is too complex for an open PR, but okay. If you really want a VS Code featured in multiple windows, why not try to fork and make it possible yourself? I don't know why I added my New York accent in there, but or like heavier. I know it is. That is why I did not have any expectations about it. I only asked if there are any estimates. Gotta love this. All right, let's please close the issues for comments. I think that's a fair request here because you're just going to get more of all that going on. That's probably why we're skipping through those 300 some odd comments. Added to backlog. That was a good start right there in 2019. Then it got assigned, added to a milestone on deck in October of this year. Assigned in October of this year and then on deck. So there's not been much commentary since then. It just silently kind of behind the scenes, they were like, we're going to work on this now, which is very cool. I wish there was more details, and maybe I can reach out to some of the folks on the VS Code team to dive deeper into the technical background behind supporting floating windows. I think that would be super interesting. It would help tell more of the backstory. That's why I went through these comments here. I don't think there's going to be much in that 300 some odd that were hidden up early here from the VS Code team. It's probably more. In fact, we'll load some right now. More of just the community chiming in, explaining their scenarios that they would love to have this feature and so forth. All right, so that's the history behind this issue and this feature coming to be in Visual Studio Code. And as a reminder, it is the most upvoted issue in Visual Studio Code history. Don't believe me? Take a look at the open source repository of Visual Studio Code, open up the issues tab, and you can sort by thumbs up, reactions, whether it's open or closed. The highest one open right now has 2,620. And of the closed ones, the one in particular that's related to the floating windows, 2,890. So big accomplishment from the Visual Studio Code team. Big win for the community to have this feature in there. And as a reminder, test it out. They even mentioned in the response to this issue from folks on the VS Code team to open up any supporting scenarios that you might have on this particular issue. Add a comment to there. Look for labels with Workbench aux window, which is their way of describing floating windows instead of the title of this issue, and support making it an even better feature and having all the capabilities you wish VS Code had when it comes to these floating windows. That said, the next video, we're going to jump into seeing this feature in action so you can understand the different ways you can use floating windows in Visual Studio Code. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.